What's good? So, while I'm in the middle of my workout class, both of them, I'm like flowing. I'm hearing all these downloads coming through to me. And so I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, I gotta remember this to record it and share it with the collective. The cheat code for life is to never give in to, never subscribe to the identity of being the victim, and remaining the victim. Don't adopt the victim identity. And life will give you so many reasons. Life will give you so many reasons. It's still, I can't help but liken it to a video game in this context, where think about how many times like you play a video game with a character, and like Mario. I don't really play video games, by the way, so it's funny when Spirit gives me analogies that I barely know anything about, but we're gonna go with it. But the one I do know about is like Mario from back in the day. And like Mario, how many times would you die as Mario, but then you'd come again and you would just keep going? So how many times in life has life given you an opportunity to finally be like, you know what? And I don't even want to say it out loud about being a victim. I don't always want to make things about myself, but I'm working from the context of living my life. So it's obviously some of the best examples that I can come up with, because it's what I've lived. But so for example, it would be enough for me to have adopted that I'm a victim. Because I've been victimized. I've been lied to. I've been betrayed by people that shouldn't have betrayed me. But I just refuse to adopt that identity. Yeah, that happened to me, but it doesn't mean that that's who I am. And I refuse to align with it, because this is the thing. Scripture says something like a righteous man may fall 7 times, but he'll always get back up. Something like that. He may fall down 7 times, but he'll get back up 8, pretty much. So the thing is, if you just keep getting back up every time and just refuse to identify as the victim, eventually the plays will run out. And also, if we want to go quantum physics with it, if we want to go science level with it, there's something called the reticular activating system in your brain. And your brain is like the computer that is searching for the signal to communicate with your being, and therefore the atmosphere, which is then translates into your 3D world, what is the truth. And so your reticular, the RAS is what it's called, is looking for proof of something. So you can have all these things happen. First of all, how many people know of good things? How many people know of people who have a really good template for, let's say they have a lot of talent, or they have a really wealthy family, or they have a great connections into something, but yet they just still complain like life is so bad to them. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Like, look at how good you have it. Like, you have a lot of upper hands that some people don't have. So it's in their mind, they're using their RAS. They're using their reticular activating system to look for proof that life doesn't work out for them. And then there are people who came from really rough beginnings, really rough starts, and they just refuse to stay down, because they are looking for they're like, no, things always work out for me. Yeah, I had to go through some things. It made me stronger. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. A little stronger. It's a cheat code for life to just refuse for all of the divine ones that are here on the planet, on the earth, on a mission. It is a cheat code for like, you remember in like Mario Kart, where you could know those little secret passageways, get off of the main track, and you could skip a bunch of distance by knowing that there's a little portal that will like spit you out, like cut off half of the track that you would usually have to go all the way around. It's like a quantum leap, okay? It's like a quantum leap in physics terminology. So this is one of those like portals, cheat codes, and it'll be a very fast way to manifest. It'll cut off a lot of the time. It'll give you that portal into a quantum leap to not identify as the victim. And trust me, this is difficult, because sometimes It's this is not just shoving down what happened and pretending like it didn't happen, because that'll come up later. Like, you've got to deal with things, and don't gaslight yourself. That's not what I'm saying, to pretend like something didn't happen that did, because that is not the point. But you know, it's like, process it, identify it, sit with it, feel it, allow it to, you know, and acknowledge it, and then freaking give yourself a pat on the back for living through it, and keep it, you know, and then give thanks to the divine that you still have your sanity on the other side of it, and things like that. But also, do not adopt the identity, do not adopt the label of being whatever it was. I experienced a crazy, weird thing, and I believe it was spiritual, but this was before I knew how much spiritual stuff manifested physically, by the way. And I also believe I believe I inherited this. This was a spiritual, inherited, generational thing, and it would manifest in physical pain. And it was so bad, it messed up my schedule in my life for several years. I was unable to work a normal job because of this crazy pain that I would experience that would be exacerbated during my cycle, and it would take me out, all the way out. I could not bear weight. I couldn't even sit down. I had to be laying down. I couldn't walk without excruciating pain. I couldn't sit without excruciating pain. It was debilitating, and then it would drive me mentally, like, it was like this mental battle that I had to fight every single month, knowing it was coming. Like, that was like half of the freaking craziness of it, is I knew, you know, I'd have to like mentally prepare myself, like, and it felt like labor, by the way. Now that I know what labor feels like, it was like that, except I didn't have anybody there celebrating with me, and I didn't have anyone taking care of me. I had no medical assistance, which is fine in one way or another, because I didn't take medical assistance when I had my babies anyway, except for the 36-hour one I had the gas toward the end. Nobody was there with me, so I had to go through it alone every single month, just dealing with, pretty much going through like what was the same, if not worse. Because at least labor, you know you're going to get your baby on the other side. At least labor, you know this is like productive, leading to something. You have a bunch of people that are there, like, at least making sure you're going to be okay. I just went through this alone, month after month after month after month, rolling around in debilitating pain in my bed by myself. And so it was one of those things, it was so bad that even it was suggested to me, like, why don't you claim disability? Like, this is impacting everything in your life. And I was like, I refuse to put that title on myself of disabled. Like, I just refuse. And I would pray, I'd be like, this is not my pain, you know, like, I don't know what this pain is, but it's not mine, and it's leaving soon. My point being, cheat code for life. You might have to go through it. It took me years, by the way, to get out of that. It wasn't an overnight experience. It took me a long time. I had to hold my ground. I had to resist adopting that trajectory for my life and refuse it. And not, hey, by the way, there's no shame if somebody needs to go on disability. I just knew that that wasn't my portion. And I also didn't want to take the resources from the community for people who really needed it. I was like, I just knew that this wasn't my path. I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's not mine. And I refuse to claim it that it's mine. So anyway, a cheat code for the path. If you just refuse to identify as a victim, if you just refuse to give in to the lie that you're not loved, you're not chosen. And here's the other thing. When you boil it down to the fact that this is like a matrix made out of ones and zeros, and that we are divine souls that are in human vessels, and how else do I explain this? Not to say that whatever happened didn't happen, because obviously it did happen, but you can magnetize to something different. And the way that you magnetize to something different is by telling a new story, by telling the story that is the future for you, telling the story that's in alignment with what is your portion, telling the story in alignment with what the desires of your heart are, telling a different story. And so stop telling the story of the past, and make sure that you're and this goes totally in alignment with the word that I just got earlier. What did I title that? It was about the example of David and Goliath. You know, he's like, I used to tend my father's sheep, and now so it was like he, in that moment, he was the deciding factor. Nobody gave him some promotion. Nobody validated him. Nobody gave him even permission. Like, he just did it. He just did it because it was time, and he knew that it was like his future. It had already been foretold that he was going to something like get married to the king's daughter, and then the reward for like whoever slayed Goliath was that they would marry the king's daughter. So I think for him it was like such a clear indicator. It was such a clear like God wink. It was an aha moment of like, oh yeah, I've been told that this was my thing, so I know that this is my moment. Like, I've been waiting for this moment. Anyway, I hope that this message is concise. I manifest that it's going to find whoever it's for, and I just pray that the revelation would overflow whatever my lacking of human languages, and that it would actually reach the spirit as it's intended to. Be blessed, be well, be free.
Remember to subscribe to Seed, Soil, Water, home of the Beloved Collective and the Flower and Fire podcast. And just so you know, new readings are released every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, and new podcast episodes release every Friday evening.